Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are currently here to perform a servicing mission because our solar panels are blocked. This solar panel doesn't appear to be blocked, but it probably will be by the time we get to the actual position that we want to be at for our burn. So let's go ahead and have Jessely EVA. And we're just going to hop on over here because we just need to move our solar panels. Now, I did not pack an electric screwdriver, so I think we have to do this via Kerbal construction, but that is absolutely fine. Okay, let's just do something kind of like this. There we go. And in Kerbal construction mode, I'm just going to grab this guy, and we're going to put it right here. Doesn't really matter the exact positioning of it, but we just want to have that moved. Now, technically, that's enough. But I'm going to do the same for all of them. And we're going to do one down over here. That is not an ideal rotation. We don't have to change the rotation on it, but I'd kind of prefer to do that. Ooh, this is... Okay, there we go. That's what I wanted. Okay, we'll be in the place mode. Excellent. Okay, let's make our way up over this direction. And we'll just park about here. Sure, that's fine rotation-wise. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be good enough. So finally, we just need our last one here. And then our servicing mission is complete. Okay, that's not a good rotation. That is not the angle that I wanted to be rotating at. Let's see. We want to rotate this angle. There. That should do. So that'll be good enough. It is definitely imperfect. We could use the move tool with snapping on and just snap it in. That's snapping off. With snapping on and just snap them into place. I'm not trying to detach the modular girder segment. Thank you very much. And now we're going to need to move down over this way, and same thing. I'm just going to use the move tool with snapping on to snap these into position, and they'll be snapped to the grid. That's not exactly where I want it to be snapped. Let's go in local space. It's better. Okay, that really doesn't want to move correctly. Wait, what are we moving? Hang on. I don't want to move this engine. That is definitely not what we want to be moving. We're selecting the wrong thing at this point. Let's just, Ooh, hang on. What is our orientation? Can we be oriented correctly, please? There we go. That's a better orientation. Okay, back down here we go. We'll just park about here. And we'll go back into Kerbal construction mode. I want snapping on. Snap that into position. Sure. It's good enough. Now, as far as this guy goes, this really does need to be snapped into position here, because if this is offset, we're going to have some issues when we look to land this. So it needs to be very, very, very close. Now I'm going to have to exit this in order to adjust our overall movement here. Okay, and then we're going to need to grab this guy and just... It needs to be right on this line here, but it needs to be out a little bit from there. And up a little bit. So the positioning of it needs to be about here, approximately. What? No, don't move that. No, stop it. Okay. I'm gonna call that good enough. We'll be held in place by our parachutes anyway. So that should be relatively fine. Let's exit Kerbal construction mode. And let's make our way back in. Okay, which side do we need to board? I think it's the top side here. let's just make our way right on in here. There we go. We were able to grab it, and now we can board. So at this point, these guys are ready to come home. We can go into orbital mode, and looks like orbital retrograde is a good angle for us to burn. So let's just very gently burn here. Are we still thrust limited? We are. Let's unthrust limit, and let's burn just a little bit. Get ourselves a little bit of speed away here. And then we're just going to bring our orbit right on down. So let's just go ahead and bring our periapsis down to about 70 kilometers. Time to periapsis is about 16 minutes, but we'll just bring this right on down to about here. I'd prefer this to be a splashdown. We could guarantee a splashdown. Let's just do something about, like, that. That is basically a guaranteed splashdown right there. And we'll have 785 meters per second to control our landing as well. So that seems a-okay. I don't think there's a problem there. We'll be at surface velocity minus. And we're now entering the atmosphere. Let's retract our solar panels. There we go. And we're currently building up speed, but that's absolutely fine for right now. I'm going to burn off the remainder of this fuel. The question is, can we recover this? We might be able to. We'll find out. So I'm going to burn off some additional fuel here. We'll get our speed right on down. So this is a guaranteed water landing at this point. That sounds absolutely wonderful. And we'll just get a bunch of this speed gone. I'm going to keep around about 70 meters per second is fine. And as you can see, we're building our speed back up, but that's not at all surprising, given how high up we still are. So that's absolutely fine. We did manage to bleed off quite a lot of our speed, but at this point, I'm just going to move this guy up here. I'd like to try to salvage this if we can. It'll be a water landing, so a relatively speedy splashdown isn't a big problem. As long as we're not going, you know, like 100 meters per second. I mean, even like 50 is probably problematic, but I don't think we'll be doing that. As of right now, we have a plasma sheath developing. We're using our engine as an ablative heat shield at this point, but we are still accelerating. We're 30 kilometers up. Deceleration is imminent. Now we're decelerating. Perfect. Are we going to have to burn the last of this fuel here? I hope not. 20 kilometers up. Deceleration is getting rather speedy. G-forces are rising. We're down below a kilometer per second as of now. That looks good. And I'm just going to grab our drogue chutes, put them in a separate category here. Yeah, we're fine here. I think. We're 8 kilometers up. Drogues? We're good. That was a little bit low on the drogue deployment, but it's fine. It would have been a lot better if we had the heat shield exposed for that, but I'm trying to recover a little bit extra here. The real question is, how far away are we from the KSC? We're kind of far. Noted. Okay, so there's our drogue chute deployment, and drogues alone are dropping us down to about 50 meters per second, below 50 meters per second, actually. Let's get the main out, and let's go ahead and bring this down. Main bringing us down to 12 meters per second. We don't need to cushion this landing, but we did save a little bit of extra DV specifically for that. Okay, we're actually still 250 meters up. Let's bring this down a little bit further. There we go. Much better. Final burn. Nice. Okay, cushioned landing. I like it. We burned off all of that fuel, but that was basically perfect. So let's recover that vessel. And now we should be eligible to head out to Duna. So we'll do exactly that. I don't think we're going to get all that much in terms of sea bills, which we're apparently calling the money in this game now. But in terms of sea bills, I think we're not going to get all that much. Maybe like a couple thousand from that recovery, but that's absolutely fine. We're not too concerned about sea bills at this time. We've got a lot of them. This is taking a moment to load into the KSC. Okay, so 2,000? Yeah, that's about what I expected. So we're going to hop back into the tracking station, and we're going to go to our vehicle. And it should be in a fairly decent state at this point. We did accidentally move a couple of parts around, but it shouldn't be a big deal. So now we're ready to head on out. The real question that I have is, how are we doing on the life support? So if we check in here, we can see that this is reading as us having about 239 days of food. The main issue there is the electricity, and that is actually an issue on our colony. Electricity is a real, actual issue. So that is noted. But all we need to do is turn off our smelter as soon as we're full on carbon dioxide. So actually, we should probably go check that, but I want to get ourselves out of this system first, I think. So I think our burn was supposed to be sometime around here, if I remember correctly. And let's see what that puts us at. Yeah, that's the correct angling, but we know that the timing is not going to be good. We can check. It's a few days later, but it's not going to be great. We just don't have a good transfer window right now, and that's absolutely understood. It will take time. Yeah, that's what we expected. So we're just going to bring this right on back, park it about here. That'll be good. And this poor vehicle trying to make its way over to the node here. It's going to run out of electric charge. We are probably best off to just warp around to the day side. So about here, we're going to run out of electric charge. There we go. It's gone. And we're going to just wind up over here on the day side. We've got electric charge now, and we need to orient ourselves for this burn. We've got 16 minutes to do it. I'm not that concerned about it. This reaction wheel is really struggling, though. There's no doubt about that. Okay. Well, we're slowly pushing our way over. Of course, as the reaction wheel builds up momentum, we are going to make our way over a little bit more quickly, but this is as quick as we can go. We're in 4x physics warp. Yeah, this is struggling a bit. But as we get this stage gone, that alone will make a huge difference here. So that seems absolutely fine. And now, of course, our solar panels are going to be nice and clear. So that looks good. And we'll be in this position very shortly. Yeah, I really didn't expect that to be a problem with the orientation of the tanks and the panels, but it does kind of make sense, given that the panels were here, right? But yeah, this is a better layout. We'll probably just go with this layout for solar panels in the future. So we're angled at this point. Let's go ahead and warp. And we're going to start up this burn shortly. At this point, it doesn't really matter that we have low batteries, like low battery capacity, because we're not going to be doing too much on the dark side anyway. We might do some on the dark side of Duna in terms of like orbital adjustments, and if we're going to do that, we'll have to be cautious about it, but we have alternators on both of these engines, so it should be fine as long as we have electric charge to start them. That's the real question here. But we've got about 30 seconds on this burn. So 20, 10, and 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. And off we go. So a decent thrust to weight at the initial outset of this burn. This is 0.97 thrust to weight here. It's not amazing thrust to weight, but it's good enough. We're going to crack 1.0 thrust to weight, looks like. Just barely, for a brief amount of time. And then our thrust to weight is going to be much lower. Okay. So onward we go, but now our thrust to weight is 0.2. So this is going to be a lot slower for the last 2/3 of this burn. It's going to be a 4, almost 5-minute burn from here. So obviously, we are interested in physics warping it. Looks like we have good solidity for physics warping, so no issue there. Excellent. So we've got about 4 minutes left in this burn, and of course, this low of thrust to weight does mean we'd technically be more efficient if we took multiple orbits and burned for a shorter amount of time at the periapsis of each burn, burning prograde, but I don't really care. We've got lots and lots of DV in this, right? So that's absolutely fine. So we're draining from these fuel tanks right now, double checking that our staging is correct. It is, so that looks good. We're not draining from this tank or this tank, so that is absolutely correct. We've got about 1 minute and 40 seconds left on this burn. You can see the inefficiency here by how much we are away from the prograde marker at this point. This is a pure prograde burn, and there's definitely inefficiency here. But that's fine. We don't mind it. So we've got about 70 meters per second left to go here. Let's take it out of physics warp for the time being. And about 50 meters per second. And 40. This is very low thrust to weight. It has come up to 0.24, so that's nice. About 20 meters per second to go. 10 meters per second. Okay, this is good enough. This is good enough. We should be on an escape trajectory. We absolutely are. Okay, so I'm not going to auto-warp this. We're going to manually warp this as we escape. Because we know that auto-warping can cause problems in this trajectory. So off we go. Keeping an eye on this here, the electricity is updating correctly, it looks like. Well, that's interesting. That's very interesting. So the electricity is net positive in the day from here. Huh. Well, I guess we'll just keep an eye on this and our warp timings, and if it's a problem, we'll hop back over there and get everything updated. I think that's the way this is going to have to go. So if we wanted to push over to Duna, what would this timing look like? If we did it off over here. We want to do it later. Yeah, this is going to be after an orbit. So we're going to need it to be out over here. This is, of course, going to need to be after an orbit, and it's going to end up being off over approximately right here. I mean, that's reasonably fine. That's in 1 year and 285 days. And if we check in on the resulting orbit, can we set Duna as target? Can we select it? That would be really nice. Disclose that. Set as target. Focus view. Okay, there we go. So as we can see, there's definitely a bit of an inclination issue here. We need to bring that up. Okay, so now we're going to be coming in retrograde at this time. And the inclination, I would like to even out a little bit more, but we can adjust that once we get there. It doesn't have to be perfect. So then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to flip this orbit around, about like that. And that's giving us an Ike encounter, which is definitely not ideal. I'd like to dial this in a lot closer in terms of the periapsis, but that Ike encounter is a problem. Hello, what's this orbit? I mean, it's very inclined. Very, very inclined. Honestly, I think we're better off to do something kind of like this and just fix it once we get there. So we can do it kind of like that, and then get our orbital inclination fixed, and then drop our orbit down. So that'll be reasonably fine, but we need to do our warping in chunks here because of life support. So that's going to be a bit of an issue. We're going to need to warp around. The furthest warp we can do here is roughly 200 days. So let's go ahead and warp here, and we'll see what happens with all of this. So I'm keeping an eye on that. The electricity is fine, but that food remaining is absolutely dropping. So we know that this is going to be in 1 year, 200 days at this moment. I'm keeping an eye on that food. The food is not correctly updating. Our food should be net positive. Our water is fine. We're not concerned about that. Our oxygen should be completely fine as well. Our electricity is honestly also fine. But we do need to go look at that food. So, yeah, I'm aware that the food is running out, so we drop out of warp there, and now we need to head over to the tracking station, and we need to deal with that food. Now, do we need to have unbreakable joints and no crash damage on when we load that in at this point? Very likely. We know that there's physics kicks that can result, particularly out in the smelter module, right? So I'm going to turn it on just in case. And let's go ahead and load this in. So we need to go to our... not Duna Core Module 1. There's a lot of those. We need to go to the one that is marked as a base here. It's here somewhere. Can we just filter it by bases? That would be the way to go. The base is this one. Oh, that's filtering out bases. Only bases. Those are only at the moon. I swear that I changed it over to a base. That's exciting. Well, we could just go to the debris and switch to it that way. That's absolutely fine. So we can go to something kind of like this, right? So we can fly that. That looks good. I say fly. We hope that we don't fly. That would be ideal. Hopefully, there is no flying involved. Let's see what we've got here. We should have plenty of food, and I'm hoping that this just updates it, and then we can go back and warp more. That would be ideal. We need to get this module there, we need to get the habitation module there, and then we need to get a launch pad here. And then that's all we need to send from Kerbin at this point. So if we can just get a mechanism down for doing this, that would be great. Okay, that should be settling in theory. This is so ugly. I hate it. But I don't think there's too much we can do about it right now. What we need to do is we need to hop into the actual Duna Core module. And I'd like to just rename this to the Duna base, I feel like. Okay. There's a lot of debris here. We really do need to get that cleaned up. But one of these is the base. I hope. That's a strut connector. That's a probe. That's a probe. That's an untitled spacecraft. Hang on. This was it, wasn't it? That's the untitled... yeah, that's very obnoxious, but it does happen occasionally. I'd like to get that anchored down to the ground. We'll see if we can do that at some point. Where are we for the actual base? Once we get the base in here... hang on, that was it. Really? I went back? And it didn't go back to the same thing. That's awkward. It changed the list on us. Very rude. Okay, I'll just have to be more careful. Where are we? What I'm watching for is the Kerbals down here. There are so many pieces and parts here. And there it goes again with that physics kick. It really likes to do that, and I'm not entirely sure why. Okay, here we are. Now we're in the base. And apparently, like, this is the root part. That's exciting. So what I want to do is I want to come in here. I want to... let's see. I don't want to actually show the UI here. I want to rename this. No. I want to rename the craft. I don't want to rename the survey station. So we need to... I think we need to come out over here and rename vessel. Okay, so this is currently the Duna core module. I thought I changed this to a base at some point, but apparently not. So Duna base. Maybe we had to revert the save that I did that on for physics reasons, but there we go. I'll make a save there, and now the question is, what's the status of food here? So if we check, we can see that the status of food is... Actually, we're not making food at this time. Why are we not making food? The algae farm is cultivating. Start farming. Why is our food not positive? We've got oxygen. What's our power situation? We are absolutely fine on power right now. Our smelter is working, but our metal is full, so that is absolutely noted. Yeah, so that's the issue there. Well, that's not really an issue. That just tells us we're going to be in a situation where our carbon dioxide is draining, because now we don't have a source of carbon dioxide without ditching that metal, right? So that's absolutely understood. Now, we could, if we look at the UI here, we could see, yeah, there's no sites here. We have no productivity at this moment because there's no sites. We need to get a launch pad out here eventually. So, the carbon dioxide that these guys breathe will keep us going for a very long time. This carbon dioxide is, of course, being converted into oxygen at this moment. But it's not going to be a forever situation. My main question is, what's going on with the food? So let's warp forward a bit here. The food is completely even. That's odd. And I didn't mean the mathematical pun. And yes, this is going to happen. There we go. So this, I think, we could solve with, like, Kerbal attachment system if we were to, like, attach here and here, maybe, or something along those lines. But for right now, I'm not too concerned about it. As we expand this, this will become more of a concern. But for now, it's okay. And there's a lot of debris that we need to change, but that's fine. I'm more concerned about the food right now. I'm not sure why our food is completely even at this moment. It should be positive based on our previous experimentation. So that's a little odd. But okay. I guess it's fine. For right now, it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and next episode, we're going to continue to head over. We may have to do our warping here. We'll see. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Dark Horse, Ethan Feldman, Opera Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, Rornaz, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.